Welcome back, everybody, to the Master Builder Series brought to you by ESL's Hearthstone Legendary Series. We're getting ready for our second match of the King of the Hill here with Alchemixt versus Koyuki. Alchemixt is a player that we haven't seen since the very beginning of the Legendary Series, but we didn't have him for Goblins versus Gnome release, and he didn't really get to show much of his deck building. He was like, hey, I really want to try out some cool stuff, and I think we're going to see it. We have Hunter, Warlock, Warrior versus Rogue, Paladin, and Warrior. What do you think about that, TJ?
Rogue, once again, I think is a really strong choice. So I think Koyuki might have a little bit of advantage, but we've yet to see Warlock yet. So Warlock can do some funky things. Warlock is a class that has some pretty versatile decks already, so I'm not sure how Alchemixt is going to fit that in. Alchemixt, of course, he is also one of the highest rated players as far as like the ESL Open Challenger Cups on Sunday.
That's right. He was opening a lot of the NESL Cups, right, back in the day.
Yeah. So I think him and Hosty, who I think used to be ex-teammates, they are both really, really high up in the total point standings for the ESL Open Cup. So you know that both those guys are really great tournament
Talking
players.
about like back on DKMR days.
Yep.
Man, that was so long ago.
Yeah, that was back in the actual ESL King of the Hill days, where ESL got its start in Hearthstone, where I got my start in Hearthstone casting, and so, sometimes I miss those days because everything was less salty, I think, back then.
Oh, you like it less salty?
Oh yeah,
I think there's not enough salt, to be honest.
of course.
I want to see more personality and losses from these players, but we'll see. Let's go into our first game, Warrior versus Rogue. And right off the bat, we see some pretty applicable uses of Brewmaster with Big Game Hunter and Black Knight available. Not sure if Koyuki chooses to save them at all, but Big Game Hunter definitely one of the more important cards against Warrior for sure. Not to mention Sabotage, destroy the card and the weapon.
It's pretty big against Warrior.
Super clutch.
And of course, Koyuki opened up with the Rogue, so he's got momentum on his side. Well, it's on a long break, and so momentum can play a big factor in because you get a feel for how the deck is playing, and since these guys, I'm sure, haven't practiced with these variations of the deck as much, because I'm not sure how ladder friendly they'd actually be.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
Koyuki is starting to get a feel for the types of combos that he can make, and it can be a tough card to play with, because I said before, it can sometimes be a liability to have it in your hand. So you want to get it out early.
Sure.
You just want to get rid of them.
I mean, it's a liability in the sense that you don't sometimes want to play it because it destroys your own board momentum, but it gives a lot of utility and card advantage, especially with Big Game Hunters and Black Knights and the sorts. Koyuki going to work on that armor, trying to see if he can chip it off a little bit. Of course, Alchemixt didn't want to play the Acolyte just to get sniped by that Brewmaster, so he's going to wait on turn 5 to drop it, then use the second bite of charge of Death Bite, get that Whirlwind effect, draw a card, and maybe even pick up something nice for the following turns. Now, as Koyuki, it's like, well, I don't want to drop my Vile Teacher now. I don't want to drop anything.
I would be inclined to actually drop the SI Agent here.
Well, yeah, but anything you drop just gets killed. So
Oh,
it's like one
yeah,
of those things
that's
where you're like, well, that weapon naturally 2-for-1, dude. That's just pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
And of course, it's going to draw a card off the Acolyte, so it's very effective.
But you can't really afford to play around it much because you have to get that second charge out at some time. Because the Despite does just so well against anything you're going to lay. Azure Drake, Vile Teacher, both cards that you really want to stick. Maybe Azure Drake not so much since you're getting the Battle Cry effect off of it.
Sure.
But you can't really afford to just keep that Despite there and just hope that he attacks it to your face before you play into that.
Oh, man, I haven't seen a Golden Iron Juggernaut. That thing is sick.
We got another Magic Amy on our hands. Alchemix looks like it's got a collection full of gold, and don't get to see him with the coin this turn, so we can't see if everything is, but I'm sure it is.
Alchemist told me that his first golden hero ever was Warrior, even though he's known as a primarily aggro lover. Like he loves He loves playing like Face Hunter and like super aggressive like shamans and like mages and stuff. But he loves also Control Warrior. It's like a really weird thing.
If I shaved, got a different haircut, and you took your glasses off, I might even look like Alchemixt.
You might look like Alchemist?
Yeah. We both play Control Warrior.
Oh,
we,
sorry, TJ. I'm really off my game right now.
We kind of look similar. Me and Alchemist might even be the same person. I might live vicariously through him during this game.
You're playing right now, streaming through a webcam on your phone. Get it. Wow. Well, that Acolyte picks up a Death Spite. That's pretty nice. I think he was originally thinking about dropping Iron Juggernaut instead, but having another weapon for removal against a deck that primarily has a lot of these mid-range health minions is very, very useful.
And you might just want to wait until turn 8 to play the Iron Juggernaut to be able to Youthful Brewmaster it right back.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier, it's a little bit of an idealistic scenario, but even just 2 mines in the deck, as long as you're able to just control the game.
You have
Yes,
Grommash in hand and a Death Spite. Like, realistically, I mean, it just has to happen once for me to be like, this was a great idea, Frodan. Because everyone's like, you know, Frodan, I'm not sure, you know, having this deck building challenge, maybe it doesn't end up being that cool. It will be cool. This Iron Juggernaut is going to do some work.
Yeah.
Can't guarantee it to you now, but
he does have Death Spite here to be able to deal with this board, because no matter what, next turn, maybe with the exception of like a Sludge Belcher or something being thrown out, he will be able to deal with it.
Yeah. Sludge Belcher would stop it, but doesn't have it.
So he's going to pave the way for a nice, clean Juggernaut Brewmaster combination.
I suppose you want to cycle then, unless you want to use your Sabotage to destroy the weapon, but Sabotage is so much better used as minion removal, like Ragnaros, if you don't have Big Game Hunter.
Yeah.
Like, it's essentially like a second Big Game Hunter or Assassinate.
He's thinking about it here, but, I mean, he would use his whole turn. I'm assuming he would. Well, he might Novice Engineer here. He might want to Fan of Knives just because it doesn't have much use in this matchup to cycle. Well, but it would clear all his tokens in the process as well.
Yeah, that's the big problem. Like, if you use Sabotage, it also kills off any 1-1s you establish. Is it better just to cycle than with Novice Engineer? Just call it with I guess not. He values that 1-1 body.
Yeah.
It's also a combo enabler.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
All right.
Here we go.
Let's see it. This is what we've been waiting for.
On a clean board, there's like no better way to use this right now. Aww. Come on.
Do it. Okay, well,
Maybe.
if he doesn't do it, then if he Grommashes, it's just going to get Big Game Huntered.
Yeah. Maybe he wants to wait until he has 2 combos, but he actually does. It would take him a turn. Oh, he might want to do it back-to-back. So next turn he'll Iron Juggernaut Youthful Brewmaster. Then the following turn he'll Iron Juggernaut Ancient Brewmaster.
Oh, I see. Keep a continuous stream.
If he doesn't deal with the Grommash this turn, he could just Youthful Brewmaster it. But BGH.
That's a good observation, TJ. I like how you framed it. It makes sense.
Because now he puts him at 18, so now once he gets those 2 Iron Juggernaut combos out, the only thing he has to do is control the game. He doesn't have to worry about dealing damage at all, unless the rogue has healing.
Well, he's got Ysera this turn too.
Okay.
I feel like Ysera is a stronger play with a board like this. But then Sabotage can easily deal with this as well.
Yeah.
I wonder if Alchemix's line of play here ends up backfiring at all, but at the same time, it doesn't. You can't really say that Brewmasters were much better because it would have left 3 2s and 5 4s on the board versus 4 12s and 10 8s. I guess you can't argue.
Yeah.
Drink with me, friend.
Ooh. Cute. Very cute. And scary for Alchemix.
Yeah, and, well, he doesn't have the Youthful Brewmaster anymore, but the strong turn 10 play would be like a double 5-drop, which Sludge Belcher could seem that way. But it would just get Black Knighted. And if there was a second Youthful Brewmaster...
Well, I think he's going to Fiery War Axe and then chop it down.
And bring it on back.
Please
yeah,
do
buddy.
it. Please do it. know it's tempting just to like armor
No!
up. Aww.
Alright, Alchemixt, you baby.
Okay, I get it. How much damage does Koyuki have? That's a lot. He's got 3 plus 6, 9, 10, 14 damage. No, 18 damage. Oh my gosh, he's really close to lethal.
Yes, he is.
Or is it 19? Because I forgot about the hero power base.
Yeah, well, he can actually... Oh, wow. Okay.
Because what happens is you would deadly poison, so that's 3. Tinker
Is 6.
is 6 damage, so that's 9 plus the attack from the novice, that's 10. Eviscerate is 14, and then the weapon would be at 5, right? No, the weapon's at 6.
Weapon's at 6, and
So
the
that's-
Novice Engineer is at 4. So it would be 10 damage from that, 4 damage from the Eviscerate,
20. It's 20.
20
damage.
damage.
He's 1 damage off lethal.
Wow. He might just go for it. And actually, if he does, well, if he does it over 2 turns, oh, he needs to Blade Flare here to get rid of the Iron Juggernaut.
Does he eviscerate?
It looks like, nope.
Because it'd be careless if he ended up having Alchemixt.
Mhm. He doesn't really have a way to deal with this Novice Engineer without just hitting it with his War Axe or blocking it with a Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, 2 Sludge Belchers might be his best course of action, but
Yep.
we know that there's also a Black Knight waiting.
Maybe he wants to Sludge Belcher Loatheb to reduce the likelihood that he has
True.
lethal.
If you Sludge Belcher Loatheb, would you Nightmare your Sludge? No, you can't, because it'll get BGH'd.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can hope that he draws a mine next turn. Then you can Nightmare your Loatheb for lethal the following turn.
It's just ridiculous.
I'm
That's
really
right, though. If he does draw the the mine, the burrowed mine, he might be able to kill him.
I'm really
if he places
disappointed
it
that he didn't Youthful Brewmaster the Iron Juggernaut. What is he planning on Youthful Brewmastering?
I don't
Loatheb?
know.
Sylvanus? Youthful Brewmaster his Ancient Brewmaster?
Oh, well, looks like we
Oh.
might have had connections issues for Alchemixt there, where he might have disconnected. Actually, that's pretty unfortunate.
Uh-oh.
Oh man. Well, that's too bad, because he could have barely survived, but it looks like Koyuki's just going to take the game. And he was really close anyways. That second Eviscerate, that means he would have died no matter what, I think. Unless he played Loatheb. So if he played Loatheb, he still had a chance to draw Alex Shirazu. Well, that's a little bit unfortunate here for him, but looks like Koyuki takes game number 1 here, unless the admins rule something otherwise. And with Warrior out of the way, we have Hunter and Warlock. Now, Warlock, nothing really jumps out to me. A lot of the battle cries for Zoo feel like it would be cool to have 2 Dark Iron Dwarfs, like 2 Defender of Argus, like plays back to back with a Beautiful Brewmaster, but that costs like 10 mana.
Abusive Sergeants could be pretty good.
That's true. Abusive Sergeants.
Flame Imps, on the other hand.
You don't ever want a Brewmaster or Flame Imp.
Nope.
Especially if you're in a race situation.
So if you get into a situation where you have an early draw where you get a turn 1 Flame Imp, and then your only turn 2 play is Brewmaster, doesn't work out.
What about if you play Doomguard, then next turn you get a Brewmaster?
Whoa.
And then you do that for 7 mana.
That would be 15 damage over the course of 2 turns.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It's very
stuff.
cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that might be the thought process. I don't know about Handlock. Maybe Handlock would be cool too, because you have Antique Heal bots, you have Farseers,
It seems
you
like
have
though.
Defender of Argus. And stuff.
It seems like the deck. I don't know if it'd be that great. It seems like the Youthful Brewmaster and the Ancient Brewmaster would sit as dead cards in your hand for a long time.
I feel like that would be the case too.
Because what if you throw out like a giant? I guess it could be like a really weird way to
I guess
heal a
it's just
giant.
fodder for Mountain Giant to get big or to cost less, so that way you can put out big
Yeah,
threats.
I guess it could heal it too. Like if you trade in Youthful Brewmaster back and then
Yeah, I don't really see much application. Maybe it's a demon lock where he's just playing like a lot of demons that just have weird synergies with each other. I don't know. It's people have been experimenting a little bit with some demons in Warlock. Our Dark Warlocks, of course, qualified for it, but I don't really think of anything that jumps out onto the screen for me.
Yeah, and once people know the deck, it's really hard to play again, or it's really hard to play the deck very competitively because Zalay actually won as well with his variation of combo lock, and he made a guide for it as well. And he said a few days after he made that I can't even play this on ladder anymore because people know the deck, they've seen it. It just doesn't have much success at the higher levels because people just play around it. And if the deck relies on having that combo as its main win condition, sometimes it's just unplayable for now.
True that.
Until people forget about it.
I think Alchemixt is back, by the way, so we will have him be ready in just a second here. We have Hunter coming up against Rogue. And this is, as far as I see, the last Hunter. So if Alchemist goes down and Koyuki wins 2 in a row, we have no more Hunters for the rest of the day. And collectively, every player watching, who also ladders and ranked, rejoiced.
Yes. I don't think people will be all too much disappointed. Alright.
So the win does go to Koyuki. He did have second Eviscerate. It was very unlikely that Alchemist would have been able to get through anyways. Looks like he was tightly contested. And that's 4 in a row for this Rogue deck from Koyuki.
Riding that momentum.
Is Rogue the X factor here?
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see.
I said it earlier, I think it just fits.
Karma, Freshka, and Admirable all have Rogue. We were told Admirable's decks, by the way. We didn't have it until right before the broadcast. So we were told that he has a Rogue, which means Rogue is the most represented class.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I think it makes sense considering the line of which we were talking about. A lot of those tricky, fancy plays. Here we go. Hunter versus the Rogue. I know Alchemist loves his aggro. Even though he just lost with Control Warrior, he is primarily a very fast player at heart. So let's see if he's doing any of those shenanigans. Or maybe he'll surprise us.
Let the hunt begin.
You see Koyuki holds on to SIHing as well as Blade Flurry.
Smart
from his
choice.
opening hand. I'd say this is a pretty decent hand.
Bring out your dead.
Well,
Your dead.
he's got to hope that Alchemix does not have 2 1-drops here. 2 1-drop death rattles.
Yep. But looks like he doesn't. And Undertaker does get stopped. And looks like the Deadly Poison will be just enough. And he does have other things to do too with his Youthful Brewmaster or his Novice Engineer.
Youthful Brewmaster, you said it a little bit earlier, but it could be applied as just a way to get a bigger Undertaker early on. If you have awkward plays early on as a Hunter where you're floating a mana and you still have an Undertaker alive, you can Youthful Brewmaster back like a Leper Gnome or a Clockwork Gnome.
Well, in this scenario, when you're trying to add board momentum, it's not that great.
Nope, it's terrible actually. Let me take back my Leper or my Loot Hoarder.
Just kidding. Didn't want to Loot Hoarder. Wow, Koyuki insta-calls on his Blade Flurry. And he's going to test. And when you see Loot Hoarder, I think you already have a general idea that this is more aggressive Hunter.
Did we see 1 secret or 2 come out of that? Mad Scientist.
We had
Those Mad
one
Scientists.
secret. I believe this only runs 2 explosive traps.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It does look like Face Hunter. And this was the Hunter that I presumed would be the more popular version. Has the potential to add a little extra burst later on.
Man,
This guy's
Koyuki plays so quickly. Jeez.
He's actually been streaming quite a bit lately. I've been watching. He doesn't stream to many viewers usually. In the past, I think he had more, but maybe 400, 500. He plays fast on ladder as well. Just years of card game experience has turned him into a seasoned veteran. Just merciless, expressionless. He's a cold-blooded card game killer.
This guy's toast.
An assassin. Well, I really like some of the synergies with the Brewmasters here on like the Novice Engineer into the combos. Really strong. Now, Alchemixt, he does have a lot of damage. Wolf Rider, Arcane Shot, Kill Command.
Wow. Okay.
That's 10 damage in hand, and then you just hero powers over the course of turns. You might be able to do this and just kill him anyways.
So he could do 7 damage this turn to put him at 8. He would be 1 damage off lethal the following turn with Owl, Kill Command, hero power.
Right.
But, I mean,
You can try to slow play this, because he does need a hero power in additional time. The Ancient Brewmaster buys him... Well, Ancient Brewmaster also could be used on the charge. So that way...
well, not this turn.
Yeah, next turn. It's tough. Also, how much damage does your opponent have? Are you using Arcane Shot to the face, or to this youthful Brewmaster reduce some of his damage?
A Stone Tusk Boar off the top next turn would be lethal if he goes all in here.
I don't think it's Stone Tusk Boar.
You never know, man. Youthful Brewmaster on the Stone Tusk Boar. That's 2 damage. For 3 mana. Or 4 mana, because you'd have to replay the Stone Tusk Boar.
He's really hoping for a Farce here in the next 4 draws. Well,
There you go.
don't mind if I do, and he's got a Brewmaster too. This rogue deck is on a tear.
Yeah.
It benefits so much better off of the Brewmasters than other decks.
Yeah, the Novice Engineer as well is just a nice addition to sort of smooth out the Brewmasters as well, because you can use it as just sort of an alternate card draw method.
Oh man, the more I see it, I feel like these Brewmasters are just weighing down, and I don't think Hunter was the right class in this case.
No. It seems good in theory. Oh, I can Brewmaster my Wolf
Charge.
Riders, but by the time you get enough mana to do that, because to be able to Wolf Rider, Brewmaster Wolf Rider, that's 10 mana.
Right.
For the Ancient Brewmasters.
2 Farseers with the Brewmaster.
Wow. Well, that's it.
Game 2 is in the books.
That was a very quick victory there.
And Koyuki is ripping. So I guess all Rogue needs to do to become competitively viable is to put 4 dead cards in other decks and to synergize with Brewmasters a little bit more.
Yeah. If only you could have the choice to insert 4 cards into your opponent's deck on ladder. It's all Rogue needs.
Yeah, I guess it's all we really need. Pretty cool though. I like some of the plays that we've seen so far, and Koyuki's definitely making a case that not only is he winning the series, but he's also putting the best use to the secret ingredient, which is the Brewmasters. Now, there's still a lot of competition. Alchemixt is not out yet. He still has one more deck. It's the Warlock. But if he's out, then Koyuki plays against Karma, and after Karma, there's Freshka, and of course we wrap up the day with That's Admirable. It's going to be a quicker day. But, you know, Koyuki has a lot of money he can win, up to $750.
Yeah, and you said earlier, behind the scenes, before we went live, that the players actually talked amongst themselves and with you to decide their order. So the earlier they go, the less likely they are to beat a king and be invited back for the next week. But they have the potential to win more money. So maybe Koyuki say, hey, let's go first, so I have the potential to win some big cash.
Koyuki and Freshka were the 2 players who approached me personally and told me that they think that they've got this too. Like, that they think they got some great decks, that they're excited, they like this format a lot. It's thrilling to them because it tests your ability to think on the spot in a sense. Because normally people play decks that have been tested and tried, right? Oh yeah, of course Paladin is good, Hunter is good, Druid is good. And it's all about like how you can see the play. Maybe you throw in like 1 tech card. But if you're all of a sudden throw this weird restriction curve, you get to see who are really strong deck builders. And like I already recognize how Koyuki is thinking with Rogue and why it's really powerful. And maybe other people can stop him. I don't know. Koyuki hasn't even played his Paladin deck yet. He hasn't had to need to use it because his Rogue's been so good.
Yeah, the other decks seem to just be inserting
Your soul
the
shall be mine.
Brewmasters in and just hoping for the best. But Koyuki has a couple little additions here, like the Novice Engineer, that push over the edge and give it just more uses. Well, there's Abusive Sergeants and Flame Imp. Uh-oh.
Well, there is a very good combination of cards for Koyuki. But he doesn't have like a backstab.
I think he's had Deadly Poison, Phantom Knives, Blade Flurry in like his
All of his
starting
games.
hand in every single game.
Oof.
Well,
well, it works with the abusive
oh
sergeant.
my goodness. Because next turn he can Useful Brewmaster one of the abusive sergeants and put on even more damage.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's pretty funny.
That would be 7,
Oh.
9 damage on the following turn as well. If it wasn't renewed, of course. Some of it is.
That SS7 agent was a godsend, otherwise Koyuki would have had to take more damage.
Yep.
So, I guess you kill off the SI7 agent here as well. So you attack with one abusive sergeant, Brewmaster abusive back, and then trade with the 3/3.
Mhm.
It plays around Phantom Knives as well.
Drink with
If you just charge 4 damage to phase, I think it's a little bit too optimistic.
Yeah, for sure.
Get in there, fight, maggot.
Alright. Seeing some pretty cool use of it.
That's pretty, not ideal scenario, but to be able to have something to Brewmaster early on that benefits you, I feel like is kind of tough in this deck.
That's actually pretty funny too.
Yeah, you just do it.
It's a 5/4. You get to keep the abusive sergeant for utility, which isn't actually that bad considering how easy it is to pick off.
Yeah, I mean, he's at, Koyuki's at 16 health on turn 4.
With Doomguard coming soon, and there's no impending way to kill it off without sabotage,
That's pretty
I
crazy.
feel like Alchemixt is in a pretty strong position to run away with this game.
Yeah.
So many possibilities.
There's not really a choice here, I don't think.
The alternative is to tap.
It seems
then-
counterproductive with Doomguard, though.
Are you going to play Doomguard on turn 5? Because Undertaker is a pretty strong card to snowball off of too. So if you say you tap, you get a death rattle, then the next turn you can Undertaker and play like another 2 death battles, make a 3/4, and then the following turn you can Doomguard.
I'm leaning towards wanting
Oh no, I think Alchemix disconnected again. Oh man, that's really bad. Because I was like, well, if he was thinking about something else, he just missed a golden opportunity to do that. Really tough situation for Alchemix, and I guess he's having some internet issues there. No worries. Well, his Warlock deck specifically, the Zoo deck seems to have some pretty interesting synergy across the board.
He had a decent start. Like I said, being able to use the Youthful Brewmaster early on in a even just somewhat of a positive situation is, I think, pretty good for that deck, because you don't want to give up some of your board just to put out a Youthful Brewmaster. Or Brewmaster back a Flame Imp, or Brewmaster back something that might even take power off your board. So he had almost best case scenario there.
Yeah.
But
Well, Abusive Sergeant has a lot of utility in the deck, so.
Yep.
Yep.
And have both
For
of them
sure.
early on, pretty good.
Well, this is unfortunately a little bit awkward, just because we don't know exactly what's going to happen here with the admin ruling. So we're just basically waiting on how things pan out. Are you happy with what we've seen so far, TJ?
I'm going to be honest. Not really. I mean, we've only seen 2 matches. I've been happy with what I've seen with Koyuki. He seems to understand the strengths of Brewmasters and building his deck around it, his playstyle around it. But it seems like they're just throwing it in.
They're not really trying to create around.
No, they're not creating decks around it. They're just trying to fit it into their decks, hoping that they don't even draw it. I think only once we've seen a player keep the Youthful Brewmaster in like their starting hand, because sometimes it can just be a little bit awkward if you don't play it first. If you aren't able to play it first, just a liability.
So you think it's a lack of creativity on the players?
Mhm.
Wow, DJ.
I'm calling him out. I don't think any of these guys will have my vote for most creative
Oh,
deck or
man.
best use of the secret ingredient.
Trying to poison the well here. Well, maybe Koyuki, because I think he's done some good stuff. But I mean, this is only half of the player field, and I think some of the best is yet to come, especially because Freshka is well known for some of the fun stuff that he can do as well.
I think it might be time for Story time.
Story time. So yesterday, I watched Pulp Fiction for the first time.
Wow.
Did you ever watch Pulp Fiction?
Yes, I have watched Pulp Fiction.
Okay. And I didn't really get what was going on, especially the opening scene. I just had no clue. But it ended up being a pretty good movie. Pretty good movie. I understand why people like it. I don't understand why people say it's one of their best movies of all time.
No, I didn't.
But
either.
apparently it was set contextually as like such a against the rules, like break the rules type of movie, because no one would like kill their main characters or swear that much
Mhm.
or use profanity or that much violence
Yeah.
or even make the movie not make sense chronologically, because
Yeah.
they would like do things in different points. So like,
Yeah.
and this was all, of course, weaved in by really strong motifs and dialogue. So, movie ended up being really good. And I remember specifically before I went to sleep, I said, from now on, I want to quote Bible verses before I kill every hunter on ladder.
Good luck with that, man. I hope it brings you much luck.
Wow.
Quentin Tarantino movies.
Wait,
that is
wait,
a
leave
Quentin
me
Tarantino
out here on
movie.
the island, TJ.
Is I don't know. I never understood them. And I might get a lot of hate for that, but
I'll explain it to you over break. It's a
I do
pretty good
watch them.
movie.
I do watch them.
Alright, well, we're gonna take a break to make sure to get all of this internet issues sorted out. When we come back, TJ will understand Pulp Fiction a lot more, and we're gonna have our next game coming up here in this series.